It is May 1st. Happy May, Chris.
Wow. That was quick, wasn't it? What happened to April? What happened to March? Oh my gosh. I can't believe it's May 1st, but I got to be honest with you. That old saying, April showers bring May flowers. That's what my theme is going to be right now, Joe. I mean it. The sun is up. We've got kind of a clear running field of understanding what our first safe step into reopening our economy is. The relief efforts are starting to hit home, and Fighting Chance has been refunded, and Pinellas Cares is taking applications on Monday, and the PPE got refunded. So, while we get a lot of rain in St. Pete, we got the sunshine behind us every day, and today's one of those kind of days for me.
And I think after all of this, people are going to need a vacation. And I think one of the earliest signs of getting into better places is people starting to think about those vacations. And if only we knew whether that was happening or not.
Yeah, so you know what we do, because we are a vacation destination. What I'd love to do is bring in Todd from the Don Cesar to talk about just what it's been like to be running on the beach and now what it's going to be like to reopening on the beach. Todd, welcome. I figured you would rub it in that you get the best view of any of our members here on top of the Don there, but welcome. We're glad you're here.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here. And honestly, it's such a beautiful day. It's just nice to get some fresh air.
Yeah, I believe you. It's fresh air is why you're doing it, not just because you're rubbing it in. I get that. I appreciate it. But hey, first of all, Todd, people may not know you. You've been around for a while in our community, but introduce yourself to our Catalyst viewers.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Todd Gerke. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing here at the Don Cesar and the Beach House Suites in St. Pete.
Great, thank you. And so we've been talking to all of our members about just different aspects of what it's been like through the initial aspects of COVID, and now as we start to reopen. So you guys have had a long 6 weeks here. Help me understand really how this has gone. So as the beaches started to close and travel started to close, what was the impact to you, your employees? How did all that go down?
Yeah, it's amazing. You say 6 weeks. I feel like it's been 6 years already. I just can't get over, timing wise, it just feels like forever. But starting in that first week of March, when we started to see some signs of concern and some things going on, I think the biggest thing was just the tidal wave of quickness that came with the whole thing. We were meeting as a team talking about, hey, we have some concern. We're seeing some groups, some clients that are starting to cancel and some concern happening. We were informing our team members, nothing to be too worried about. We're going to manage it. Everything will be fine. We're going to be okay. And I think the biggest challenge was just day to day, we saw just amazing impact in that whole crisis management. We went from, saying, hey, it's going to be all right, we can work through this, team, to, hey, team, we're definitely getting a little concerned. There's been a lot of cancellations, to just drastically saying, team, unfortunately, we have to furlough many of you. We have to let you go. The impact was just so fast that there was just no way to prepare. I mean, it was literally crisis management mode.
So pre-COVID, a major resort like yours, the beautiful part, the most beautiful thing we have on our beaches. How many people do you employ when pre-COVID? Like what was that impact?
Right around 400 is what we're usually at, give or take a few. And we were coming off of one of our best Februarys ever and preparing for one of our best Marches in April that the hotel's ever had. And so we were fully staffed and fully engaged at the time. So it was drastic.
And so you had to go from 400. How drastic of a reduction did you guys have to take? Because you kept the hotel open. Is that correct?
We did keep the hotel open. Honestly, at one point, I think we got down to about 15. It was so drastic, so fast, and we just weren't sure if we were going to close or if we were going to stay open. And so we kind of phased into it a little bit. But once we saw that pretty much all of the end of March and all of April, and then as we saw May become something that was really looking bleak, we unfortunately had to furlough and lay off quite a few people.
I understand. And that's the unfortunate part of our efforts. But let's switch now to, so you've gone through that, but now within the last couple of days, life is changing for all of us, right? I mean, now we're getting that next wave of changes every day, every minute, every opportunity. So you've not hit rock bottom, but pretty close. But you guys were able to keep the doors open and keep the beaches alive. But so now tell me, where are you at? Like, what do you see besides that beautiful beach behind you, what do you see in the future in these next few days for you guys?
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, we've definitely gone through the month of April. Occupancy was dismal. The team who was here, including myself, I had umbrella beach duty one day. I had garbage duty the next day. We had laundry duty the next day. I mean, we were literally doing everything. The nice thing for us in particular here where we are in St. Pete Beach is that we actually own our beach. So we were able to operate with the beach still remaining open as a private beach. We did not have access to any other services other than takeout food, which we were offering guests. Most of the guests that we were seeing were just looking for a break from their reality to come and get some fresh air, spend some time at the beach. Quite honestly, if you were someone who was coming, you were getting, even though amenities weren't available to you, you were getting probably one of the best St. Pete Beach experiences ever because you had the Don Cesar all to yourself and the beach was empty. And so it was pretty remarkable.
Yeah, just to interrupt you, I was just thinking about you and 14 other people just roaming that big, beautiful place and bouncing, jumping on top of the presidential bed up top there and stuff. And it must be almost haunting to have that place so empty, though, because it's one of the most vibrant places on our beach.
It is. Honestly, it was sad. I mean, it brings tears to your eyes. You walk outside, you look at the beach, you don't see a single person on it. It's like, man, this should be our busiest few weeks of the entire year. And the beach is totally empty. So it was tough for sure. In the last few days, we've seen a major uptick since, I think there's definitely been just in general over the last 10 days, kind of a pent up demand to try to get back to normal. And when I say that, it's really mostly people just wanting to get outside, just spend some time in the sun, get some fresh air, and just really be able to feel like they're not trapped at home. So the calls have just been off the charts. We went from, maybe 5 calls a day to 300 calls a day within just a few days. Wow. And primarily it's just, and we're doing it, unfortunately, with a skeleton crew. We still haven't been able to phase a lot of our employees back in. So we're back to almost regular numbers and we're doing it with just a couple of people who can barely keep up. So it's been tough. Most of it is just question and answer. I mean, people are just really, really curious. The challenge for us, as well as every business, is there's just no foundation for this. There's no baseline for, okay, well, what do we do now? And how do we go from here? So everything is almost like you're recreating business plans from scratch. The challenge when you're in a hotel environment is that you're basically operating 5 or 6 business models all within one business. And so to look at all of those and think, okay, let's peel back this onion. Let's figure out how this is going to operate. As you get into those discussions, it's just totally overwhelming. But the nice thing is that we're seeing an increase in calls. This weekend and the next couple of days, tonight, we have about 50 check-ins. We're definitely going to be busy this weekend. Tomorrow, we're really busy. And so the team is very drastically making calls. We're reinitiating employees. We're calling people in. Unfortunately, we're retraining on a lot of processes from the start. How do you do this? How do you do that? So it's just overwhelming.
Yeah, it must be. And I don't know how you did that with only 15 people, but I appreciate your can-do attitude about it all too, because that is amazing that you're not only cleaning the sheets, you're putting them on the place and putting out the towels for folks as well. That's a pretty amazing opportunity for you guys. So when you bring in people back now, and because I want to build confidence in our market, I want to build confidence in the consumer that there's folks like you that are doing it right. So you talk about retraining to make it more safe. Can you just give a couple examples so that people are listening about how our hotels that run, like you said, almost 5 different kind of businesses inside of that, how you're going to be changing and what can customers expect?
Yeah, I mean, the reality is you kind of have to break it down to the least amount as possible, meaning that we have a whole meeting just about the parking experience and just about the getting into the hotel, the arrival experience. And then we have a separate meeting about the check-in experience and a separate meeting about the dining experience. And so everything requires a start to finish complete review of what are all the touch points, what are the things that you may not have thought of. We physically go out, we walk in as a guest, okay, I'm going to touch this, I'm going to do that, and we have to walk through it just to make sure that we're not forgetting anything. Antibacterial stations, PPE, plexiglass guards in touch point areas, propping open doors and making sure that people can flow without having to touch things and kind of interact with folks. We have a ton of kind of stickers and markings on floors directing people, hey, be patient. Our mantra that we're going with right now is slower pace, healthy space. So we're basically trying to encourage people, hey, put the flip-flops on, relax a little bit, but please be patient. It's going to take a little longer. We want to space you out. We want to get through it safely. Having people standing in doorways, counting bodies, how many people in, how many people out. We don't usually have a lifeguard at the pool. We have a station security lifeguard at the pool. We're counting bodies. How many people are in the pool? How many people are on the pool deck? We're adhering to all those guidelines, and so it's just crazy. So many things.
It is crazy that you have to really deconstruct that whole experience from the time you pull in that parking lot. It must be just an amazing kind of just exercise in itself. But to what I heard from that, Todd, and I'll be real honest, is what I think every customer wants to hear is you haven't just been sitting there crying in your suit, man. You guys figured all this out, so you're ready to reopen again. And I think that's what people need to understand about our great businesses, which obviously you all are one of those, where you're thoughtful. You've got resources to be able to make sure this is done correctly. And my understanding is you would not, most what I mentioned yesterday, we're worried about safety, but restaurants, which you run as well as part of that, like you mentioned, that's all you guys do is safety precautions. I mean, you guys are on the hook every day not to get someone sick, right? So it's somewhat in your culture.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's the foundation of everything we do. And kind of back to your comment earlier about wearing a lot of hats, I think the fun and exciting thing about being in hospitality and service is that you don't ever get into it thinking, hey, I'm going to be in the corner office and I'm not going to be able to bus tables. I mean, you get into it from the ground up. And so when we go back to that core of, hey, I need to park cars, I need to bus tables, I need to unpack the Pepsi truck that's pulling up. I mean, all those things that happen, it's all hands on deck and everybody jumps in. And really there's two things. The health and safety of our employees obviously is paramount. We have a lot of folks coming back on. There's a lot of uncertainty just about, hey, how's this all going to work? I'm a little nervous about being in the space and making people feel comfortable. Obviously our guests and having them be safe, having them be healthy, certainly getting some value for what they're paying for. We want them to have a great experience. Amenities are limited, but we really want you to know that when you check out, we did a nice job, you felt safe, and most importantly, you got to soak in St. Pete and this beautiful beach and everything else, which is remarkable. But those are all kind of key elements. It's definitely very tough. The other thing I'll say is that the thing that's probably crazy about this the most is that there's really an overlying risk being one of the first businesses that people are pouring back into. Everybody's looking for the story, and so for us, it's about we have to do this the right way. We have to take it slow. Let's not get too excited and just open something up without the proper preparations. We've been without booze sales. We've been without restaurant stuff. I mean, we've been without revenue. And so to have that dangled in front of you is quite the carrot. You want to just jump right back in and make money, but there's a lot of risk. And if you're not careful, certainly we're expecting the media is looking for a story. Everybody's kind of looking for an angle. And so we want to do it. We want to do it well. And we want people to feel safe.
Well, you and I have talked about that a couple of times, Todd. Like even anything that happens on the beach anyway, and you've worked very hard to keep the Don's picture off of it, but sometimes they'll put your picture up when they're talking about St. Pete Beach in general anyway. Yeah. And that's frustrated you and I in the past, and you've been able to confront it. But I do believe, and I'm telling all of our members, Facebook and everybody else, all the media is going to be looking for the bad actors. They're going to look for the people that aren't social distancing. They're going to be the ones that aren't spacing themselves accordingly, aren't following those rules. We don't want any of our members to be those businesses. That when that first business happens, that's when government begins to get tightened up, and then we start going back the wrong direction. So I appreciate what you're doing. I know Joe had a quick question for you as well.
Yeah, you mentioned pent-up demand, and that's something that we've talked about here on this program. And I think a lot of business owners are cautiously optimistic about that pent-up demand. Do you get any sense of sort of the shape of that demand and how you see that rolling over the next few months?
Well, I think the biggest thing, like I say, is just people wanting to get out. They just want to get out and feel safe. They want to get out of their space. They've been walking, they've been running, they've been going for drives, but otherwise they've been fairly contained. Folks have certainly been going to the grocery store. So that element of just kind of getting out of my space and getting some fresh air, I think is first and foremost. I think people are definitely a little reluctant. They're kind of slow to get into confined spaces. So as they do that and as comfort levels rise, I think that'll very quickly bounce back. So I think there's definitely a comfort zone. I think the other thing I'll say is that most of the people who have been with us here so far at the resort, they're very nice. I mean, everybody's like, thank you so much for allowing us to come in, and we feel like you're taking the steps you need to keep us safe. They're very appreciative just to have that relationship. And so I think all of that is definitely a change for everyone to adapt.
And I think what we've identified these are obvious things in and of themselves when you say them, but a lot of people don't go back and apply them to their business when they could. And that is, you've given us some real key points on things that should be at the center of our planning for reopening. Number one, there's going to obviously be a big concern with safety. And so making sure that the message of how you're keeping your clients and customers safe is first, is out there and plain and obvious, is going to give you a leg up on people who aren't doing that. And second, this pent up sort of, wanting to let go of the weight of the weight of going through this pandemic. Obviously, it's to come and celebrate on the beach at the Don is an obvious one, but a lot of businesses can find ways to position their marketing, position their their communications with their clients, and give them some of that relief, and just try to tie that sort of relief and fun to it as much as possible. So, when you're planning how you can reopen strong, understand that that's going to be important to customers and clients, and make sure that you're prepared to give it to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, crisis aside, unfortunately, with everything that's going on, I think the interesting thing right now is that almost every business in America has had an opportunity to reboot. Mm-hmm. You're really starting from scratch. What are all those things that you wanted to do differently? What could you do better? How could you be more efficient? What's that guest experience? Because now's the time really to start from scratch and say, hey, let's improve the customer experience and let's get creative so that maybe we're doing things a little bit different way. I mean, I think people are surprised right now because a lot of businesses that come out of the woodwork, they've shifted gears and they're doing different types of services for people just to stay relevant and just to make money. But I think the great thing is that now's the time to be able to be better at what you do.
Well, that's a beautiful way to end that, Todd. I appreciate it. Before I go, though, the one last question is, Florida is a rather large state, and we're not allowed to air travel for a while now, it looks like. I mean, they're going to start allowing that in the future, but drive market for the Don might be, so like when you start seeing those upticks, it could be, like you said, people getting out and that they can jump in their car from Sarasota or St. Pete or Tampa or Orlando and come over here and still not be breaking any rules and still be in a very safe environment, right? So there is an opportunity for our beaches to utilize our drive time market in the most efficient way.
Absolutely. I mean, we're spending most of our dollars right now on just the Tampa Bay region, the Orlando drive market, and Miami as well, because those counties have not been able to kind of come out of restriction. And so there definitely are people there who are trying to get out of that area or spend time in another location. But those are all great opportunities for us. We actually turned most of our marketing, our digital marketing, back on yesterday. We really had turned everything off because there was no need to spend money because nobody was converting. People just weren't coming. We turned everything back on yesterday, and just overnight, we've already seen a big uptick in digital engagement. So it's been awesome. The other thing that we did, which was great for the drive market, is that we had 2 social media campaigns that was happening during the time. It was not a solicitation campaign. It was more of a giveaway. We have a mantra here at the Don. It's called Think Pink. And pink stands for positivity, ingenuity, nimbleness, and kindness. And that's part of our internal mantra. And so we basically took that out to social media and said, hey, how are you guys thinking pink out there? Give us some examples. And so it was great for people to be able to engage with us. And, they got nothing but time on their hands. They want to participate, and the loyalty has been great. And now everybody's ready to get back to the beach. Well,
that's, Joe loves this too. He's a marketing guy, but that's the power of good brand and a big brand and powerful brands. And Todd, if you exude that pink as well. So it also takes a brand ambassador or steward like yourself and your entire team, but it takes leadership like what you've just demonstrated on this call today. So I appreciate you. I appreciate the Don. I appreciate Thinking Pink. I appreciate us, the optimism of being open again. So I appreciate you being on. Would you give me one last thing before we leave? And it's not because I don't love your beautiful face, but as you walk away from can you just show us the beach one time before we all,
sure.
some of us who've not seen it in months now?
I'd love to. Let me take you over here. This is an amazing day today. Let me show you what's going on.
Hey, Todd, while you're doing that, have you noticed that the water and air is cleaner, as what I've heard from all the other reports? I mean, are you seeing any kind of more cleanly environment?
Oh, it's amazing. Honestly, the skimmer birds are back on the beach. The water's clear. The dolphins are out. I mean, it looks amazing. The sky's clearer than ever right now. It's fantastic. I hope we can all keep that in mind when we try to go back to normal. We've made a big impact on a dent in climate change, so we should stay the course for sure.
No, that's beautiful. Todd, you're awesome, man. That's beautiful. I appreciate you. Hang in there, buddy. Keep in touch, and we'll see you soon.
Let's get you back to the beach. I appreciate you, Chris. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Todd.